The following podcast is a deep, shallow dive production.
And you're gonna love it.
Okay, let's go.
Hey, what's up, everybody? Happy Wednesday. Hope you guys had a good day yesterday. Hope you enjoyed the episode. Hey, by the way, I did want to make a couple corrections because I did get something wrong yesterday. So I want to make sure I'm clear about this. And it was in regards to EJ Johnson, Magic Johnson's son. So I had thought he identified as a woman, but he does not actually. So he's gay, and then he is a androgynous dresser, meaning he dresses kind of androgynously. So I don't know, like a woman, like a man, kind of, he definitely has his own unique sense of style. But anyway, I did read that and I did want to clarify that. And I actually was curious if he had had the trans surgery, and it says no, EJ Johnson has not had trans surgery and has no plans to transition. Johnson has said that he considered transitioning after Caitlyn Jenner came out as a transgender, but ultimately decided against it. Now, he did have gastric bypass surgery or some type of weight fluctuation surgery, and he lost 100 pounds from that. So, anyway, he did do that, but it says Johnson is known for his androgynous fashion style. He came out as gay in 2013. Let's see. But he does identify as male. Johnson has said that he identifies as a male. All right, so anyway, let's be clear about all this stuff. All right, one more thing I did, I did want to say about Magic Johnson, and I'm not gonna talk about it too much, but man, I went down kind of a Magic Johnson wormhole yesterday. So, when he came out saying he was HIV positive, I'm just gonna put a couple things out there. One is obviously he's stayed together with his wife Cookie, so that is a true testament. Okay. Two, they did have EJ, I guess, right after he came out with his announcement. They have another son, Andre, I think is his name, who's older than EJ, and then they adopted a daughter. So obviously it doesn't seem like EJ was infected, nor was Andre. And by the way, Magic has been with his wife Cookie since high school. So if you watch the Showtime Lakers show on, I think it was on HBO. God, it would make sense that would be on Showtime, right? But I think it was on HBO. It was actually really good, really, really good. But they chronicle their love story, and it definitely is a love story. So they've been together since high school. None of the kids are infected. Cookie's not infected. And then, I don't know, the random thought that came to me yesterday as I was kind of thinking about this a little more is it is interesting that in this litigious society and world that we live in, especially as of late, it is interesting that no woman has ever come out and sued Magic Johnson claiming, I don't know, that he gave her HIV or anything along those lines. That's interesting. That is interesting. There's never been any real there's never really been anybody that came out and said, hey, that's not cool. You did XYZ to me. That is interesting. That is interesting. All right. The next thing I did want to cover before I play some clips is, again, I mean, this is just more things I find weird. And this was on the cover of CNN.com last week, actually. And it says Kremlin confirms Trump sent Russia COVID-19 tests after former president denied Bob Woodward's claim. So, this guy, Bob Woodward, he's been a journalist that's been in the mix a long, long time. And this dude has happened to be in the center of many, many things, including the Watergate scandal with Richard Nixon. Then in 2004, he wrote a book called Plan of Attack, and Woodward claimed that CIA Director George Tenet said that there was a slam dunk case that Saddam Hussein had weapons of mass destruction. So think about that. In 2004, he comes out with this book, Plan of Attack, claiming, Tenet has a slam dunk case that Saddam has weapons of mass destruction. And so obviously, during that time, that was basically when George W. Bush and the neocon crew were, putting their WMD hats on and moving into Afghanistan and into Iraq. And so this guy basically, was a big advocate saying this is happening, and George Tenet told me it's happening, blah blah blah. And so, we've got hindsight now to look at it, and obviously there were no weapons of mass destruction. All right, so I wanted to just set that up and just give you a little bit of background on Woodward because he just came out with a new book and it's called War. And let me read this to you. Legendary reporter Bob Woodward wrote in War that President Trump secretly sent Vladimir Putin a bunch of Abbott point of care COVID test machines for his personal use. So basically, Woodward in the book is claiming that Trump sent Putin like COVID test machines for his personal use. Now, this is the part that I just found so ridiculous. So, this is what he wrote, as in, like verbatim, as in, like he overheard or somehow got access to the conversation between Trump and Putin. And so he says, quote, "Please don't tell anybody you sent these to me," Putin said to Trump, according to Woodward. "I don't care," Trump replied. "Fine, I won't." I mean, that is hilarious. "No, no," Putin said. "I don't want you to tell anybody because people will get mad at you, not me. They don't care about me." So this guy is claiming that that was the dialogue and conversation between between Trump and Putin over Trump, like, you know, FedExing Putin some COVID Abbott tests for his personal use. I mean, like, that is hilarious. Again, "Please don't tell anybody you sent these to me," Putin said to Trump, according to Woodward. "I don't care," Trump replied. "Fine, I won't say anything." "No, no," Putin said. "I don't want you to tell anybody because people will get mad at me. No, I'm sorry. People will get mad at you, not me. They don't care about me." I mean, that's like ridiculous dialogue. First of all, the dialogue, like, just picture Trump and Putin having that discussion. And then what are they having that discussion over the phone? And then how are you how do you have access to that? Like, that doesn't make any sense. It doesn't make any sense. Oh my God. Anyway, the story is kind of all over the place, or at least it was last week. I feel like it's died down a little bit. But, the other stuff that I find funny is that, the Kremlin chimes in and they confirm that Trump sent Russia COVID-19 tests. And these guys are just like, it's just, the world is a stage. It truly is a stage. So the team Trump did have to issue a statement, or I guess Trump went on ABC as part of something and he said, "He's a storyteller, a bad one, and he's lost his marbles." Trump told ABC News of Woodward on Tuesday. In a statement, Trump spokesman Steve Chung said Trump gave Woodward, quote, "absolutely no access for the book, so we don't know where he came up with this dialogue." Oh my God. All right. Anyway, I did want to kind of go over that because I thought it was ridiculous. By the way, I did want to. I want to send well wishes to Detroit Lions lineman Aiden Hutchinson. Oh my God. I hope you didn't see it, but I don't know. Actually, I tried not to see it, but then somehow I ended up seeing it. But the kid is a stud. He's a stud defensive lineman for the Lions, but he broke his leg. And this dude is a beast, by the way, and like a huge, huge kid. And the way his I don't even want to talk about it. Actually, it's so cringe. Anyway, I hope he gets better soon, and I hope he makes a full return to the NFL. But man, that was not a good sight. All right, I want to start playing you. Let me play this clip from Elon Musk. And again, I honestly, I think I've said this before, and if I have, I'm sure I have actually. I don't I still have not quite figured out Elon Musk. I really haven't. Like there's things that I think he does amazing. Obviously, I have tremendous respect for him in terms of what he's accomplished on the business side and, his intellect and all of that stuff. But I don't know, there continues to be something off about him to me. I can't quite figure it out yet, but I will keep trying to do that. But anyway, he did do an interview with Tucker Carlson, and this is the clip that's kind of gone pretty viral about stuff because it really talks about the effects of the immigrant and migrant situation, the illegals that have really been led in the United States for the past 3 years, and it's kind of, helping people understand, well, why did that happen? Because, that's a question everyone should be asking. Like, why did they let this happen? Why did they, leave the borders open for 3 years? So give this a listen.
If Trump doesn't win this election, it's the last election we're going to have. The Democrats, the Dem machine, has been importing so many people, bringing in so many illegals, flying in with this like CBP border app thing nobody even knew about, like secret program. That's illegal, basically. It's illegal, but there's no action by the DOJ to actually to stop it from happening. They're transporting large numbers of illegals to swing states. If you look at the numbers, these are the numbers from the government website. There are triple-digit increases in illegals to all the swing states. And in some cases, it's like 700% over the last 3 years. Now, these swing state margins are, sometimes 10, 20,000 votes. So what happens if you put hundreds of thousands of people into each swing state? And when they do so, they vote overwhelmingly Democrat. So my prediction is if there's another 4 years of a Dem administration, they will legalize so many illegals that are there that the next election, there won't be any swing states.
All right, so basically what he said was over the past 3 years, they let in enough illegals to basically send them to these various swing states where really in the past 20 to 30,000 separates the winner from the loser. And so for this election, you potentially, and again, potentially, you already have so many people that are in these swing states that are illegals. And then that is why, as we talked about yesterday, they're not requiring voter ID. So, for example, in Michigan, I think Gretchen Whitmer passed a law that says you don't have to show ID. So now you've got all these illegals not having to show ID. They're going to vote Democrat. And again, I'm making these numbers up, but let's say they let 100,000 illegals into Michigan, which, by the way, that's probably an accurate number, maybe even way more than that. Actually, probably way more than that. And so in this election, if they all vote Democrat and then the Democrats win, and then they have 4 years to, let's say, make them from illegal to legal. Now, normally it takes much longer than that, so I don't know how they would necessarily do it that fast. But his point was that, what's taken place over the past 3 years with the border crisis and with basically having an open border was done to accomplish exactly this, bring them all in, send them to the swing states that need those votes, and basically let's not require voter ID for 2024 and think about it. I mean, again, I don't know if there's any truth to that. I really don't. I really don't. But, that's a plausible process. It really is. If you think about it, it's plausible. And, again, for me, when it comes to the border, it's made no sense to me how it's been open for 3 years. And then now, 3.5 years. And now going into this election, obviously it became a huge, huge hot button. And we've talked about that so many times. Kaizen talked about it. I talked about it. I've played a bunch of clips. Again, that doesn't make sense. So, what Elon said, again, I don't know if that stuff is true, but it's plausible. All right, next clip I want to play is from, this is another one that just I don't I don't have this on my bingo card, and it just doesn't make sense to me. I mean, the only thing that makes sense about this is the concept of like misdirection and just trying to confuse everybody. But basically, Nancy Pelosi, who obviously is a huge, force in the Democratic Party, she's been railing against Netanyahu for the past year. And this entire time that this situation's gone on in Gaza, she's really been railing against the guy. And again, like I said, I didn't have that on my bingo card. Like I find it odd because again, if you believe in, the uniparty concept and let's say globalists and let's say a certain group of politicians all being on the same team, Nancy Pelosi and Netanyahu are part of that group. And so give this a listen. Like I said, I don't know if this is just intended to be, Jedi mind tricking misdirection, but she goes in pretty hard.
Joe Biden and the Democrats have for a long time supported a two-state solution. A two-state solution. A solution is the key word, not a two-state anything, a two-state solution where these countries, people can live in peace.
And do you still think that that is credible?
Well, not with Netanyahu. No, I don't think he's ever believed in peace or two-state solution. I'm just very, very disappointed. The U.S., we've always supported Israel. It is our ally. We shared values. It was in our national strategic interest to support Israel. We continue to support Israel, but not the deaths of so much collateral damage.
All right, I cut it there. And so, she's really come out with this two-state solution, I guess, stance for the past many, many months. And she's been very vocal against him. It's funny. As soon as I played that and I was listening to it, I remembered somebody sent me an interesting clip about that. So give this a listen.
We need a two-state solution.
Two-state solution.
Stop. We get it. The two-state solution is
path that guarantees peace.
That's the only way to achieve.
Right? Not quite. From the lack of two states to the lack of solution, the two-state solution has become nothing more than a response that Western politicians shove down our throats whenever confronted on their support for the brutal occupation of Palestinian land.
That was a little bit hard to hear because of their background music, but it is a very, very good point. And basically the array of people in the beginning was, Tim Walz to Chuck Schumer to Biden to Pelosi to Trump to who else? All right, on the graphic it's Tim Walz, Obama, Dick Durbin, Lindsey Graham. God, I hate that guy. Kamala, Josh Shapiro, Schumer, Biden, Bernie Sanders, AOC, Hillary, George W. Bush. Sorry, Trump was not on that. Anyway, that is a really insightful take that basically, again, a little bit on both sides of the aisle, Republicans and Democrats, they come out and they talk about this two-state solution. And I'm sure everyone gets excited. They're like, oh, thank God. Okay, great. Let's just have that and end it. And, it's just talk. It's talk, nothing's happening. Think about it. Really think about it. It's been a year and, this thing is still going on. Like I said, I think it's going to go on it's either going to end right before the election and Kamala will get credit for it so she can get those Muslim swing state votes. Although they're saying it doesn't matter. Like there's no way they're going to vote for her. But then who are they going to vote for? Trump? I mean, maybe they're going to vote for Jill Stein, but obviously she has no chance of winning. Or this is going to keep going into, let's say, January, and similar to what happened with the Iran crisis situation and the Iran hostage situation, in 1979, as soon as Reagan got into office, the hostage crisis ended. So maybe that happens with Kamala. Maybe that happens with Trump if he gets in. They become the savior and they end that war and bring the hostages home. If that happens, then you kind of know it's a little bit of a playbook, and they're basically, going back to what they did in 1979, 1980 with the Iran situation. All right, the next clip I wanted to play for you guys, this clip is from a couple months ago, but I went back and I looked because I wanted to kind of double check on what Kaizen talked about in that border bill that was voted down, and then, Kamala and Tim Walz said Trump instructed all of the Republicans to veto it. And again, and then Kaizen was like, well, yeah, I mean, even if he did, it wasn't really a border bill. It was a foreign aid bill because 67 billion was going to Ukraine, 20-something billion to Israel, and then they were going to, give 11 billion to the border. So you can't really call that a border bill. So I wanted to kind of research that and make sure that was true. And it was. And here is the speech Rand Paul gave on the floor of the Senate, and this was on C-SPAN.
The amount of money going to Ukraine in this bill is more than we spend on the entire Marine Corps. Think about it. We're going to send to Ukraine more money than we spend on our own Marine Corps. This is a bill about Ukraine first. This is a bill that makes us weaker. There is no money to give to Ukraine. It's not like we've got a pot of money. There is no surplus. There is no rainy day fund. This money will be printed up or borrowed from China to send to Ukraine. It makes us weaker.
All right, so again, I just wanted to play that because that whole situation really was exactly that. That was not a border bill. That was a foreign aid bill with a little bit of border to basically use that as the talking point. Okay, next. All right, so I'm going to play the clip from this weekend that President Obama is kind of getting grilled on by, black men all over the United States, along with, like I played yesterday, the Magic Johnson stuff. And by the way, again, I mean, think about it. They're targeting black men right now because it looks like black men are very disenchanted with the Harris-Walz campaign, and they are, voting for Trump. And so it's almost like, there's a play and a plan to, in many ways, I guess, try to shame them a little bit. So give this a listen. This is what Obama said that kind of became a lightning rod.
That seems to be more pronounced with the brothers. So if you don't mind, just for a second, I'm going to speak to y'all directly and say that when you have a choice that is this clear, when on the one hand you have somebody who grew up like you, knows you, went to college with you, understands the struggles and pain and joy that comes from those experiences, who's had to work harder and do more and overcome and achieves the second highest office in the land and is putting forward concrete proposals. And you're coming up with all kinds of reasons and excuses. I've got a problem with that. Because part of it makes me think, and I'm speaking to men directly now, part of it makes me think that, well, You just aren't feeling the idea of having a woman as president. And you're coming up with other alternatives and other reasons for that. That's not acceptable. This shouldn't even be a question.
All right, so basically the gist of his speech was that he's saying you guys as black men you don't want a woman as president, and so you're coming up with all kinds of reasons and excuses why you don't want a woman as president, and that's not acceptable. I think in many ways it's definitely causing a split within the black community, which I think sucks. And yeah, I don't know. I mean, is that appropriate? Is that appropriate for Obama to single out black men like that? Well, it definitely has rubbed a lot of other black people the wrong way. So let me play two things for you. This one was actually interesting. This is like a Democratic voice on CNN. Her name is Nina Turner, and she's a black woman. But listen to what she said. Again, like I said yesterday, this isn't directly affecting me. So, I don't have skin in the game. So I'm just listening to see kind of what people's reactions are to this.
They need to appeal to the needs of the voters. And so when I was a delegate for President Obama in both of his elections in Ohio, right now the vice president is down 11 points in Ohio, even though I fully expect President Trump to take Ohio as he did twice. But to be down 11 points compared to President Biden, that is a problem. But this other issue I want to bring up is a problem too. Why are black men being lectured to? Why are black men being belittled in ways that no other voting group? Now, a lot of love for former President Obama, but for him to single out black men is wrong. And some of the black men that I have talked to have their reasons why they want to vote a different way. And even if some of us may not like that, we have to respect it. So unless President Barack Obama is going to go out and lecture every other group of men from other identity groups, my message for Democrats is don't bring it here to black men who, by and large, don't vote much differently from black women.
All right. Anyway, I don't know which side of that you fall on, but I do agree. I don't like the fact that him and Magic Johnson are in many ways it is kind of belittling black men, and that's not cool. That's not cool. And I'm not even a black man, but I don't think you should take that tactic. You know what I mean? I don't think that's appropriate. I really don't. And neither did a lot of black men. So give this a listen. Here's a culmination of a couple different, there's a lot of these on TikTok, but I cut together a couple of the ones that I thought were, well, actually they were kind of the ones that got the most traction. And then also I thought were interesting.
Sorry, Obama, I'm a black man and I'm voting for Donald Trump for president, and there is no amount of lecturing or bullying or shaming that you can do that is going to make me change that decision. I am not afraid to vote for Kamala Harris because she is a woman. I refuse to vote for Kamala Harris because she has spent the last 4 years destroying this country. She has spent the last 4 years throwing up the borders to illegal immigrants. She has spent the last 4 years destroying this economy. We have seen over the past couple of months that she is not fit to be president. She can barely speak. She can't articulate a vision. And actually, she's pretty stupid. And if you think that I, as a black man, am going to let that waltz into the White House, that is going to get my vote because you're lecturing me and you're bullying me, and you may be the surrogate black dad for a lot of fatherless black boys that are running around this country, but I got a dad. I know who he is, and it ain't you.
I just had to pause for the cause. I, like many of you, observed and listened and watched Barack Obama last night as he addressed black men. But as a black man, he did everything but address us. What he did, he berated black men, he rebuked black men, he even scolded black men, primarily because we will not fall in line and vote for Madam Lock-Up-Her Brother, Kamala Harris, because that's her record. As if black men are too stupid that we can't vote our self-interest, what's best for us, our pocketbook, our families. As if we've been immune to the past 3.5 years, as if we don't know that gas prices have been higher under Kamala Harris, food prices higher under Kamala Harris, interest rates on home mortgages higher under Kamala Harris and runaway borders under Kamala Harris. But you know what? That's what the liberal white Democratic Party did. They dispatched Barack Obama out there to whip black men back on the plantation to vote Democrat. And you know, President Obama, he meant a lot to black people, but he didn't do anything for black people. And for him to want to come down from his mansion in Martha's Vineyard and tell black men how we should vote, really? You don't even live in Chicago anymore. You left your black community, Barack Obama, and you want to tell us how to vote? We're not having that, and we're not voting for Kamala Harris.
All right, you know what? That's two of them. You get the point. There's a lot of these on social media, and again, this is interesting. I have a lot of black friends who love Obama, and then I have less probably who don't like Obama. I need to really dive into that because, the ones that don't like him, they do always say he didn't do anything for us. But then there's tons that love him. So and again, I mean, heck, that applies to every color. I don't know. I got to dig into that a little bit more and try and understand that. And mainly the ones that feel like he didn't do anything. I need to add a little substance to that and what that means and all that. I will put that on the list. All right. Anyway, my point of all of this today and yesterday, quite frankly, is I'm just sharing what's going on. I'm sharing the narratives that, are big discussion points right now out there. And, again, if you're not somebody that, pays attention to the day-to-day on that stuff, hopefully by listening to this, you get a feel for really what's going on out there. And I will say this, though. The fact that they had Barack and Magic, probably two of the, most successful, highest profile black men that most people love. I mean, throw Jordan in there. Although Jordan never gets involved in any of this stuff, man. He does not chime in on politics at all. He's actually, there's a famous, I think this is true actually, but supposedly he was asked this one time and he said, Republicans buy Jordans as well. So basically Mike was like, hey, they all buy my shoes and that's all I care about. I mean, I guess that's good and bad if you think about it to an extent, although it's very funny. All right, that's all that. All right, next clip I'm going to play for you. Man, you got to listen to this. And I am working on the neocon thing, but so this is an interview from Donald Rumsfeld, the Republican Secretary of Defense for George W. Bush. And this interview was given from the Pentagon on September 10th, 2001. Okay? September 10th, 2001, one day before September 11th, 2001.
We are, as they say, tangled in our anchor chain. Our financial systems are decades old. According to some estimates, we cannot track $2.3 trillion in transactions. We cannot share information from floor to floor in this building because it's stored on dozens of different technological systems that are inaccessible or incompatible.
So $2.3 trillion they couldn't track. The next day, the quote-unquote plane ran into the Pentagon, destroyed the area that housed all of that stuff, as well as Building 7. Building 7 also housed a lot of that supposed paperwork, and it's gone. And so probably is that $2.3 trillion. Interesting stuff. Wild and wacky stuff, Ed. Wild and wacky stuff. All right. We're coming up on 35 minutes. No music for today, although I did have one. Let me see if I have a good little ditty to take us out on. Oh, no, ditty. Dang. I'm not supposed to say ditty, except when I'm using it in a funny way with Mark Cuban.
So I handed him my bottle. He drank down my last swallow, then he bummed a cigarette, asked me for a light, and the night got deathly quiet. His face lost all expression, said if you're gonna play the game, boy, you gotta learn to play it right. You got to know when to hold up, know when to fold up, know when to walk away, know when to run. You never count your money. When you're sitting at the table, there'll be time enough for counting when the dealing's done.
That was a great way to end it.
This episode was brought to you by the new book, Deep Shallow Dive Into You, available now on Amazon and Barnes & Noble in hardcover and paperback. Don't forget to sign up for our new mailing list on our website at deepshallowdive.com.